Welcome to Tangie's Tapestry, where spirituality, law, motherhood, and relationships weave into a rich and meaningful discussion. I'm your host, Tangie, a mother, daughter, sister, friend, and an avid entrepreneur. Join me as I share my personal journey, explore faith-based discussions, and offer valuable legal insights. Each episode is designed to inspire, empower, and connect with individuals on their unique path. So let's dive into today's topic and embark on this journey together. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Tangie's Tapestry. I'm your host, Tangie, and I'm happy, y'all, because I'm so close to finishing my first season of Tangie's Tapestry. Oh, it has been such a journey and a blessing, and I am actually starting to enjoy doing these episodes. And I'm so thankful for those of you who follow me, who support me, who share my episodes with other people, or, just I appreciate you guys rocking out with me. So we have two more episodes after episode 8. And so this episode, Bouncing Back, Surviving Law School After Failing Your First Class. Your girl is about to give you some tea about what I went through in law school. And so episode 8 is going to talk about the law school part of it. And then episode 9 is going to talk about the bar exam part of it. Because I know that there are people out there who have struggled in law school and didn't have anybody to kind of help them navigate, especially your first semester of law school. Or any professional grad program, right? Like it's tough. It is tough if you're in med school, uh, engineering, whatever it is, right? Like grad school is no joke. It's not like regular college. It's like college on steroids. It's kind of crazy. I mean, even with law school, like you not even allowed to work the first year. So like just that in itself is crazy. And so I'm going to be touching on you know topics of faith and resilience, pretty similar to like episode 7, right? So like in episode 7 I talked about how my faith and how being resilient got me through the apartment flood that I had that basically resulted in me and my daughters losing all of our belongings and stuff. And so I just kind of want to piggyback off of what I talked about in episode 7, but just this time I'm talking about a personal academic setback. And I'm gonna tell you now, there are a lot of attorneys out there who wouldn't probably share this kind of stuff with you because in the profession that I'm in, especially like in the DMV area, it's very status driven. So it's all about like the school you went to. I mean, they're like big on like, going to like these top prestigious law schools, graduating at the top of their class, having all these accolades and all of that stuff. And it's great. There's nothing wrong with it. But I can just tell you, for me, that was not my story. It has not been my story, and I'm okay with that. I am um w- the stressors and the troubles that I've had have made me who I am. They have made me a much more um strong and resilient and humble attorney, where all of those things don't really mean much to me. And I hope that I'm able to share my story with just one person that might go through what I went through and have something to reference to let them know that these setbacks that you might encounter, that they should not define who you are, but they should actually just be there to like help shape you into making you a stronger person, whether it's professionally or personally. Okay. So I love those scriptures, because they definitely reminds us that hardships and difficult seasons, they can be useful um, in your life, and they also show who you really are because they're going to bring out your character. They're going to either show that you're that you buckle in seasons of adversity, or you actually they make you stronger and make you more resilient, so where that you can it's almost like a training process, right? Like you're able to just get stronger and stronger with every blow, with every setback, with every hardship. It's just making you stronger and stronger, because that's my life. I think God set me up for the struggle package every year. Like you'd be like, oh, she got through that. Let me let her go through this again, and go through this, or go through that, because it's like nothing has ever been handed to me. And in my personal life or my professional life, I feel like I've had to work like so much harder than some of my, colleagues that I see, like that just everything seems like that it just comes so easy to them, or else maybe they're not sharing their hardships or whatever. But for the most part, like they do well through school. Like they passed the bar right on the first time. Like they got the job right away. Like it's just like that ain't my story. Okay, so I'm gonna share with y'all some of the this. I'm gonna share with y'all this part of my journey of law school and what happened to me and how I overcame it. Okay, so let me go ahead and get right on into it because I've done been rambling on. So, law school. I will say when I was getting ready to go get into law school, I wanted to first make sure that my daughters were old enough for me to go to law school, because I knew that when you got into law school, they say you can't work for the first year. And I was like, well, I don't know how I'm gonna be taking care of those small little babies and be trying to go to law school, because I wanted to go to law school like way before my kids got older, but I didn't have that kind of support, right? Um, so I waited until my kids got a little bit older and they were, I believe, in like grade school, going into high school. Um, and so I knew it was time for me to start to apply for law school. So I applied. I got waitlisted to some law school, and I was not happy with that because I was like, man, really? I got waitlisted to one, didn't get into one of my top picks, which was ASU. I didn't get in there. I got waitlisted to U of A, and then I got accepted into, at the time it was called Phoenix School of Law. But then they renamed it to Arizona Summit Law School, which no longer exists today, which is a whole nother situation and a whole embarrassment that we're not going to talk about. But anyways, so that's the law school that I got into, right? So, rewind to 2012. I'm preparing to leave my job, um, and embark on this new adventure of law school. And mind you, I had a GPA of a 3.8 or 3.9 undergrad. And I had a 3.5 in my master's program, and I had a 4.0 in my paralegal studies. So, I was like over here, like, oh, I'm about to kill it in law school. Okay. Cause, your girl got these good grades. Ain't nothing going to keep me from shining in law school. I was excited. I had got a scholarship. For law school also. So based on my academics, so I was feeling myself, okay? Um, but lo and behold, did I know that I was gonna be humbled real quick. In my first semester, okay? It wasn't even like later down the road. No, it's my very first semester of law school. So when when at this school, they put you in a cohort of students, right? So you're like in a group of students, and all of you guys take this. So like each they have like the Patterson group and these other. I think I was like I think that was the name of our group, is the Patterson. So we all were in the same classes together, and that means we would all, like, for the first semester we would take like contracts one, property one, torts one, all of these classes, right? The first part of the classes we would all be taken together. And so I remember when it was time for midterms, we had these scantrons that we had to fill out. And on the scantrons, the professors would say, or they would be instructions in there on what to do. Now, mind y'all, I have test anxiety, right? So it's it's pretty likely that I overlooked this really important detail about these leading zeros that you needed to put on your Scantron. So I'm taking my exams in all of my other classes, and I was not putting zeros on the Scantron. So I was just putting in my student number and bubbling in, not with the leading zeros. So I guess the Scantron doesn't read it correctly if you don't put these leading zeros. So almost all, actually all of my professors didn't fail me on my midterm. They hand graded it, right? And so I passed all my midterms except for torts. This professor, who was also over the appeals portion, so like if you weren't happy with your grade, if you were to appeal it, she also oversaw the appeal. So right, so I remember getting the grade back and it was a 0 on my midterm, and I was like, "Well, why I got a 0?" I was like, "I know I ain't getting no 0. I know I know I didn't miss every question." And come to find out, I wasn't putting the zeros. I wasn't filling out the Scantron properly, right? I didn't put them zeros in there, but all my other professors didn't. They hand graded it, so I wasn't even knowing I was doing something wrong because my stuff was being graded, right? And so I remember going to go and review, once I got the 0, I was like, "Okay, so let me go see what I did wrong," and I realized that I she gave me a 0 because I didn't put the 0 I didn't put those zeros on my Scantron. So, I went ahead and still, reviewed the right answers just to see, and I would have passed the midterm, but I didn't. So, I got the 0, and from that point forward, I was like, "Oh my god, like, I am this is my towards one class. I was like, I am starting off at a disadvantage from all my other classmates. I have a 0 and I don't even know how to bounce back from that. Mind y'all, remember, I went into law school thinking I was all of that and some, okay? Um, and and so I went in there very prideful. And the 0 that I had made me start to put more pressure on myself. So I was studying day and night for like like when it came time for the final exam, I was like studying like all day, all night, not taking enough breaks. Definitely wasn't praying about nothing, right? Because I was doing everything in my own strength. And so when it came time to take the final exam, I remember I was in my car driving to school and I was studying all the way up until I walked into the classroom. That's how I was just studying so much. I hadn't even slept really that night. And I remember the professor telling us that the exam was going to be comprehensive. So that means it was going to be over everything that she taught us over. So I'm thinking like I have to study from A to Z. I need to know everything from all of the negligence and the battery, all these things. I had to remember all of this stuff, defamation, all that stuff that gives me nightmares thinking about it now. But was thinking I had to remember from A to Z. And so she was like, "You guys are gonna have 3 essays on the exam." So I was like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna study everything and I got this." So when I get into the exam, mind you, I'm already exhausted and tired. I open up my exam booklet, or take everything out the packet, and I'm looking at the paper, and it's just like one sheet of paper and this one little tiny fact pattern and a question. And I was like, I'm looking around the class, like hopefully not looking too much because I didn't want the proctor to think I'm cheating or nothing, right? So I'm looking around looking at everybody else, and I'm like, why is this only one fact? Why is like I thought it was gonna be 3 essays. Like, what the hell is this? And I'm just like super confused. And then all of a sudden, everything on the paper just like goes blank in my mind. Like I couldn't even really even read. And so I'm like, oh my God, I don't remember nothing. I don't remember anything. I don't remember the elements to nothing. And so I'm over here like And I'm like, this is not a comprehensive exam because it can be. There's not enough stuff in this fact pattern to cover everything that we learned from beginning to end. So I was feeling jaded. Okay. I felt like that professor was just out to get me. Like it's me against the world at this point. I have a zero. There's no bouncing back. And so I just start typing stuff. I don't even remember what I typed. That's how bad it was for me. Like the test anxiety on top of feeling confused that like this was not the way this professor identified this exam to be. I was feeling some type of way. And so when I when when the time was called, it was time to start when it was time to stop typing, I was just like, you know what? I might as well just quit law school. That's how I felt. I felt very defeated. And so I was walking out of class and I just knew to myself, and they tell you guys not, they tell the students not to talk to each other about the exam, but I could hear people over there talking about the exam or whatever. And I was like, I don't think I wrote that. I don't think I wrote that. I was like, oh my God. Like, I know I failed this class, right? So the semester ends and fast forward to the grades coming out and the all my grades started trickling in, so I was getting like my B's here and there or whatever. I don't think I had got any bad grades. I think they were like either B's and maybe an A or something. I think our school was graded on like a C curve, so it was really hard to get A's and B's in that school. And so I remember telling my daughter Alasia, she's my oldest. Um, I was scared. I was scared to open up because all my grades had come in except this class. Of course, it'd be this class that just takes the last one to come in. And I remember I even had a dream that I failed the class. Right. So I believe either I dreamt it into existence, I spoke it into existence. I just knew I failed this class. And I told my daughter, I said, open up the portal and look at the grade for me because I want to look at it. And then I looked at her, she looked at me, we looked at each other, and I was just like, like, what is it? And her little eyes just looked like she wanted to cry for me. And she just nodded her head like, and I was like, oh my God, I failed. And I looked and it was an F. A F, y'all. I had never gotten no F in college or nothing like that. And so I didn't let my daughter see me cry, but I went to my room and I just bawled my eyes out. And I thought to myself, like, God, why would you bring me? This is when I turned to God. I'm like, why you bring me to law school to have me fail? Like, and I know God was looking at me probably like, girl, I didn't, that's all you. You didn't consult with me about nothing. You didn't pray to me about when you got your zero. You didn't ask for my help. You was just studying all day and night. Like, that's all on you. You did not come to me for help. Like, you just did it all in your own strength. And it reminds me of the scripture, Philippians 4:13, which is on my Bible, right? Is this scripture here? I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. It's not I can do all things through Christ because of my own strength. No. And so I did not go to God in any of that until after I failed. And it was in that moment that I was ready to quit, y'all. I was ready to drop out of law school. Not only that, but I lost my scholarship. And then I was put in a different like rotation, like with my classes, because I had to rearrange my whole classes. Cause like if you fail the first part of the class, you can't take the second part, right? So everybody's moving on towards two, except for me. And all of my classmates are like, well, oh, we didn't see you in towards 2, and, like, I don't wanna be like, "Well, I failed, I got an F," and it was so embarrassing, I was humiliated, even though people didn't really know what was going on except a couple of my, like, law school friends that I had at the time, and I was ready to throw in the towel, but God, right? So, God strategically placed me in position of connection with people at law school, um, who were became close friends to me, who talked me out of quitting law school. In addition to like my family, because I was ready to quit. I was like, I'm a failure. Why should I be here? I got to take this mastering skills class. I lost my scholarship. I have to take Torts one all over again. And mind you, when I took Torts one over with Professor Williams, um, I passed the class with a B, so it wasn't because I didn't know the material, it was because I messed up on that Scantron, and I allowed one that midterm grade to dictate the rest of my, you know, time in that class. And that's really what caused it was all the test anxiety. And to this day, when I do Scantrons, man, like, listen, when sat for the bar, I was over here like making sure I did not fill that Scantron out wrong and everything. Like, it messed with me so bad. But um I think back now, had I quit, had I let that F define me, had I let that grade dictate my success, I wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation with you guys about how I overcame a failed class and became an attorney. So what, you get a bad grade, or even if you get two, I mean, that wasn't my only bad grade. I mean, even after that, I mean, I definitely got my GPA up. I didn't graduate at the bottom of my class. I worked really, really hard to get my GPA to go back up. So I was getting A's and B's, and I think I got like a C or two or three there here because the class, like I said, our school was graded on a C curve or whatever. But it humbled me so much. Like, I had to this day, I'm just like, I am no better than anybody else academically, personally, professionally. Like, I at any moment, what I have can be taken from me. My smartness, my grades, whatever, like money, status, all that stuff can be taken from me at any given moment. And so, I don't ever let that kind of stuff define me anymore, right? And so that I hope that you don't let that kind of stuff define you as well, because at the end of the day, like your it isn't about you being the best at everything, right? Because can do you still can do great things even if you have a setback, even if you fail at something along the way, right? So, um, that was a very defining moment for me. I definitely believe that it's moments like that you want to make sure you have a solid support system in place, because I don't know if I was strong enough in that moment to know to turn to God, because I wasn't really heavily in my word or anything like that, right? So I had other women of faith reminding me who I was and who I belonged to, and to turn to God and not to give up, And so, and my mom, was a huge support, in making sure that I didn't give up. Um and so was my sister and my children, like, I had that support system, so that helped me. Um I definitely think that, you have to make sure you're managing your study habits and your stress levels and stuff. So, like, don't be like me and studying until the time you walk into the class, because you're putting so much pressure on yourself to be perfect. And none of us are perfect. We all fall short. We all can miss the mark. I'm never going to be one of those attorneys that walk around and makes it seem like I win at everything. I'm winning all my cases. Like, I'm just on top of the world, because that's not me. And I think, again, like, we sometimes have to go through these type of situations where we have a setback, we fail at something, we don't always get it right, because it's what makes us who we are. It makes us stronger, it makes us more resilient, it builds character. It's like, if you don't go through hardships, then how are you supposed to develop into something bigger and stronger if you never deal with anything, if everything's handed to you, and you don't have to deal with any suffering or any hardships, like, so I definitely believe that you definitely want to make sure you have, your support system in place. You want to make sure your faith is, um, that you have faith in God and that you're doing the things that you need to do, that you're reading your word, you're praying. I mean, when I was in law school, I was not praying to God before I took any of my midterms. None of them. I'm being completely 100% honest with you. I was all about me and what I could do for myself. And like I said, God had to humble me real quick and let me know that your little 3.9, 4.0, that ain't nothing. That ain't got nothing on me. That's what God was saying to me. And so I definitely think that even if you fail a class, don't give up. If you get an F, don't give up. If you get a D, don't give up. I mean, I hear people say D's get degrees. Yeah, that's true and everything, but you still want to try to strive to do good in school, but don't let it dictate who you are. And even though I failed that class, it definitely made me stronger and it made me more resilient. Personally and professionally, and I will say that failing class actually, um, kept me grounded during the time when I was sitting for the bar exam, because when I get ready to tell you about what happened with me during the bar exam, um, then yeah, you'll see why maybe God was preparing me for what else was to come when it came time to not getting my way and getting things the way I thought they should be. Okay. So I'll leave this scripture with you, Isaiah 40, 31, because I do think that scripture also, is a good scripture to meditate on, especially if you find yourself in a situation like I found myself in a situation where I failed a class. Um, but in Isaiah 40:31, the scripture reads, "But those who wait on the Lord will find new strength. They will fly high on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint." So, even in our hardships, even in times where we we miss the mark, or we deal with a setback, understand that failure is not the final word. um it does not define you. It does not mean you cannot go on to be an amazing doctor, attorney, teacher, engineer, whatever it is that you're setting out to be. I mean, and this can even be applied to everyday life, right? Even when you fail in um, things that are not academics, right? It doesn't define you. It doesn't mean that you are a failure. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to accomplish your dreams and your goals. I remember a pastor once saying, all failure is a fresh start. It's a way for you to have a new beginning. Um, so yes, Tangi Turner, Lady Esquire, got an F in law school. My first semester. And I did not let it define me. And I did not quit. And I did not drop out of law school. And today I am a proud attorney who operates her own law firm. And so I say all that to say, with God, all things are possible. And you can do all things through Christ, because he's going to give you the strength that you need. So I don't know who's out there watching this, or who is tuning in and listening to this podcast episode, but just know that if you find out you failed a class, don't let it make or break you. Okay. I mean, don't let it, don't let it make or break you. Um, or is it gonna make or break you? I don't know, but do not quit. Okay. Stay the course. All right. And so that's all I wanted to just share. You're looking at somebody who has come from very humble beginnings. Okay. I have not been at the top of my A game all my life, and I never will be. There's gonna be something that's gonna have another setback involved. I'm sure of it. Although I'm asking God, for 2025 to sign me up for the soft girl package, and not the hard girl package. I don't want a bunch of trials and tribulations, but God always has his mysterious ways of giving me what he thinks I need instead of what I want. So, um, I hope that this episode is helpful for someone who might be dealing with, you know, a setback in life. And like I said, it might not be academics, it could be something else, but just don't let it, yeah, don't let it define you. Okay. So make sure to join me next time as we continue to explore, stories and moments that shape us into who God has called us to be. And until next time, make sure to stay encouraged and keep moving forward. Okay. And have a blessed week. And I will see you guys on episode number 9. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Tangie's Tapestry. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Remember, new episodes drop every second and fourth Monday, so be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more heartfelt discussions, personal stories, and valuable legal insight. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider sharing it with your family, friends, and followers. Your support means the world to me as I strive to create meaningful content that inspires and empowers. Well, until next time, take care and remember to weave your own unique story into the tapestry of life. See you on the next episode of Tangie's Tapestry.